Hey guys, today I want to talk about why the pros pick Sonya. Sonya is a very graceful character that everyone just seems to love, right? Well, she's really not that graceful. But why the pros pick Sonya is kind of interesting. So she has a 50% win rate on average with the in pro games, in recent pro games anyways, and her popularity is sitting at about 33%, meaning she is either picked or banned in a third of the games. All right. Excuse me. And the thing that's interesting about Sonya is she's picked for three reasons. For why the pros pick her is anyways for three reasons. One, because she's one of the strongest solo laners in the game, which means if you need a map to have a solo laner, someone to just sit in one lane for most of the game, which happens on honestly most maps, um, then she is phenomenal. There's only a few people who are guaranteed to beat her. Most people that are also considered strong ones can kind of break even in the lane, but she beats most people in lane. The next reason why she's picked is because she can do camps very, very quickly. Like a lot of the solo laners that are popular in the meta right now, doing camps is kind of an integral part of being a solo laner. Usually, if you get an upper hand on the enemy jungler, or the enemy solo laner, then you head to your jungle and you take out the jungle to give your team more pressure. Oftentimes, you'll see people will cover a lane of a Sonya for a little bit so that she can go do a camp, but sometimes you just push a lane really well and you get time to go do a camp. And the last reason that Sonya is picked is because she has one of the best ways to get sustained damage on your team, particularly sustained physical damage, which can be very difficult because a lot of the auto attackers that we have in the meta right now don't do sustained physical damage. For example, we have Hanzo, who a decent chunk of his damage is auto attacks, but most of his damage actually comes from his Q and his W, right? You have Genji, who again, a decent amount of his damage is done by auto attacks, but most of it's actually done by his Q and his ultimate ability, as well as his E burst, right? So having sustained physical damage is nice against people like a Nubarak, who has a lot of spell armor, or Tyrael has a lot of shields that can take the burst damage. I mean, there's a lot of different people that have either spell armor, shields, or anything like that. So having sustained physical damage is something that is very beneficial. So in this particular game that I'm going to be showing you, it's going to be LFM versus Team 12, and in this particular game, Team 12 was considered to win 90% chance, right? Sorry, that came out a little weird, but they had a 90% chance of winning based off of what the analysts said and what the Twitch chat, which I mean Twitch chat, we all know that they're all grandmasters. But yeah, so that's essentially LFM was guaranteed to lose this game. So we'll see how it plays out, but I want to show you the effects of Sonya. And when pros pick Sonya, again, they have those three things in mind: for camps, for solo lane, and for physical damage. But in the beginning of the game, the early to mid stages, Sonya is really meant to just do everything to enable the team to stay together. What that means is if there is a camp available, she's going to be doing the camp. If there's waves available, she's going to be doing waves. And if there's an objective available, she's going to do the objective. Unless unless her allies are doing the objective, and then she's going to be doing waves. And if her allies are covering all the lanes, then she's going to be doing camps. She's going to be doing whatever the allies are not doing. And until the late game, when she gets a few more talents and she actually becomes a threat. Because early game, her threat is to minions and mercs. And late game, she gets some talents that get really scary, like Rampage increases her damage, lowers her spear, which means that she can stick on people forever. And as well as at level 20, she can get either spear to have longer range and give her armor, or she can get ignore pain to be essentially unkillable for 4 seconds. So we'll see which direction she decides to go. The particular builds that you see on Sonya's right now is usually either Warpaint to gain life back, Tough as Nails to survive physical attacks, or the last talent isn't usually picked that much anymore. It's a new W talent that makes your W do more damage. Or sorry, it makes your next W free and a little bit bigger. Every 4 Ws or whatever. Then level 4, it's almost always Battle Rage because, again, she needs to be able to do these camps, and this gives her an ability to keep herself sustained against a poke hero in a solo lane. Level 7, it's almost always Poison Spear. This gives you the ability to burst someone down, as well as just get a lot of damage off against a solo laner because your spear is going to be up every like 12 seconds. So every 12 seconds, you're pretty much just chunking the enemy down. Level 10, Wrath of Berserker is taken about 90% of the time, and Leap is taken the other side. Now, why does it say Leap isn't in here? Well, Leap tends to be picked up on very specific scenarios. One of them is that if there's not any camps you need to do very quickly that you'll need Wrath of Berserker for, or if you're going to be following up on a combo. As following up on wombo combos tend to not reach level 20. What I mean by that is, let's say, for example, you're with a Zeratul and a Diablo. What'll happen is the Zeratul will do like a Void Prism, Diablo will do Apocalypse, Apocalypse lands, they're all stunned, you're auto-attacking, right before the stun's over, you leap to continue that stun and finish off all the enemies. So leap's usually taken in wombo combos, which means that it doesn't hit level 20, and the website I'm using, called masterleague.net, they don't show the builds that don't reach level 20. Which means that we don't see the games that Leap isn't picked. So Leap is picked in pro play, but it usually doesn't reach level 20. So Wrath of Berserker's picked a lot because it increases the damage you do, it reduces the stuns and slows and everything like that get happen to you, and it keeps going forever as long as you're gaining Fury. Level 13, as long as you're getting this level 7 talent, you have to get this level 13 talent, which makes it to where it lowers the cooldown of your spear, makes it to where you always pull. So if you don't hit someone, you still go towards the enemy. And level 16, Nerves of Steel is usually picked up, which gives you an activatable shield that gives you health. But sometimes if you're just stomping people or you just need the extra damage and you have a really tanky main tank, or a lot of healing, you'll go with Rampage, which just increases the physical damage you do. Also, this is good against, again, if they picked a lot of spell armor. And then finally, level 20, again, it's either the armor or the spear. If you got this spear talent, it's usually that you're going to get this spear talent as well, but it really depends on the situation. So, let's get into this game and let's get rolling. So to start off, the beginning of all of these pro games is always going to be just a middle fight, and it doesn't really show anything individual with each character, especially since Sonya, all she has really going for at level 1 is a quick QE, but it's a little risky. I'm just going to fast forward. We don't need to worry about this. Level 1, Tough as Nails was picked up. Why was Tough as Nails picked up? Because who are the auto attackers that she needs to worry about? Blaze will probably get auto attacks off early that'll get rid of some procs. But other than that, the only people that are going to be auto attacking her is Hanzo. And Hanzo's auto attacks hit for like 300 damage. So to be able to reduce Hanzo's damage by 60% whenever he attacks her is very important. Which means that Hanzo, a lot of his damage is mitigated. So it's very important that that goes. Again, still speeding this up. Now, she decides to go down here because of this. If she was to walk up this way, she would be launched over here and be killed. You'll see in pro play, they play a lot safer. Now, what I will say is, if you're watching this video to get improvements on Sonya, they don't play as aggressive as you could. Now, if you do play aggressive, you can watch how much damage is available. This is a Blaze and a quick fight early on with just a Phoenix. You can see between the Sonya hitting auto attacks and W's and the Phoenix getting damage off, that Blaze got dropped very quickly. Didn't die, but lost his health very quickly. So you'll see that they're playing a lot safer. Now, if you're playing in Hero League and you see that everyone's missing, you still need to play safe. But if everyone's showing up, feel free to bully the people. Sonya is one of the strongest solo laners because she has a lot of bully potential. If you land a Q, you do a chunk of damage, and you get a W off, you can get an E off and do a lot of damage to people. And if you go Q, most people what they do is they Q onto someone, they get one auto attack, and then they E. Or they Q, do 1W, and then they E. What that means is you get the 195 damage from Q, you get the 198 damage from W, and then you can follow them for the entire whirlwind, gaining any life back that they do, any sort of damage to you, meaning that you can do about 400 damage to someone with your E. So all in all, you're doing 800 damage, and that's quite a bit for every little trade that you do. It adds up really fast. So we just saw Battle Rage, which means that likely Sonya is going to be doing a camp. Once you pick up Battle Rage, you kind of want to do a camp very quickly, as you have the extra bonus damage, and the first camp you get usually ends up being about when the objective spawns. So in this case, the objective will time down at 2:30, meaning that it will spawn at 3 minutes. So getting the camp now will give you an opportunity. However, in pro play, there's a problem, because if you go missing in your lane for more than 3 seconds, as a Sonya, they assume you're doing a camp, which means that there's going to be a call out likely from Blaze to go attack Sonya in the camp. But because this is such a predictable move in pro play, Sonya can also call out for her team to come here, because we just saw Joanna and Blaze go missing. So Sonya could say, hey guys, ignore the objective right now. If we want this camp, I need your help right now. Which you can see was probably called out, as you can see Gul'dan is heading up there, Phoenix is heading up there, Malfurion's heading up there, and Sonya has to now just defend on her own. But there's a benefit to Sonya too. You get a lot of healing between Battle Rage as well as Whirlwind. So let me go back just a tad, and I want to show you how long she can survive. She's using Battle Rage to keep her life up during these fights. Now Battle Rage is healing over time. And she didn't end up getting War Paint, which would normally heal her a little bit more during these like long, drawn-out auto-attack fights. But you can heal a lot with Whirlwind and with Battle Rage, and against 2 tanks, you can actually survive for a long time. So while she's against 2 tanks, she just simply Whirlwinds together on both of them, and doesn't even worry about getting off the objective. This leads to them getting a kill, as well as another kill. So not only did they get this camp, which they did purely because of Sonya's actions, but Sonya was also able to hold the camp against tanks long enough for their team to arrive, as well as Sonya allowed them to get a couple kills because of the high damage of Spear, as well as the CC aspect. Now, normally what will happen in this scenario is, if they're all at an objective, Sonya will either be in a lane soaking, or they'll have their team go into lane soak and have Sonya get the objective. In this case, it looks like the team is going to focus on the lanes. As you can see, Diablo's getting a lane, Gul'dan's getting a lane, and we'll probably see either Phoenix or Malfurion head up and get this lane while Sonya finishes off the objective. As Sonya should always be doing what the team needs, but not necessarily what the team is going to be doing. Because Sonya is so good at doing things alone, because she has so much self-sustain with Battle Rage or War Paint or Whirlwind, as well as she's tanky enough she can survive if she gets ganked by the team, as well as she just has a lot of wave clear, a lot of ability to do camps and mercenaries. She's just so strong in so many scenarios that she could be left alone to do her own thing. Even when the objective is picked up, she knows that the whole team is going to follow this objective and try to get value out of this. She says, no, I'm going to go and get some soak, right? And then I'm going to double soak mid and top lane. Doesn't even need to fight this Junkrat, because Junkrat can always just get away with W. So unless there's an ally nearby, she's not going to kill him. Now, Phoenix made the call that Phoenix was going to head up and try to fight Junkrat, so Sonya decides to stay back, and I want to show you guys, she picked up this talent at 7, which means that her Ancient Spear does another 100% of the damage over 6 seconds. So, what I said earlier, where, okay, her Spear does 228 damage, well now it's going to do 456 damage, and then you have this, it's going to do 232 damage, and this, it's going to do 450 damage, so overall, she's doing over 1,000... I don't know, 1,200 something like that damage. And Junkrat doesn't have that much health. So Junkrat has, let's find him really quick. Oh, of course it would go. Anyways, he has about, I would say, 1,500 to 2,000 health right now. So if you're doing 1,200 damage by yourself, Phoenix only needs to get like 1 or 2 hits off before it's pretty much just kills a Junkrat. So we'll see what happens here. We do 1W, 1 auto attack. Q, which does half his health, followed by a W, followed by an E, which is the combo I was talking about. This whole combo right here is about 1200 damage, plus he already got a W and an auto attack and another auto attack. So he got 400 damage off, plus the 1200, so he did 1600 damage. And then the Gul'dan gets a nice E off, which finishes him off. It's an incredible amount of damage if you can catch someone out of the area. And at level 10, Wrath of the Berserker increases the damage you do by 40%, meaning if you could already do 1200 damage to someone, you can increase the damage by 50%, meaning that you can actually do closer to, what is that, 1800 damage to someone? No, 40% is about 1600 damage to someone. So it adds up really fast, the amount of burst you can do and the amount of bully potential you can do if you catch someone off guard. And easily, if you know where the enemies are, which he doesn't know where the enemies are, so he's going to play pretty safe, making sure that he's still in an area where he has an escape if needed. Now, when the enemies start showing up down here, you can see that he might start playing a little bit more aggressive against Blaze. But Blaze is very difficult to kill. Now, the cool part about Sonya is Sonya has no mana. Have you seen Sonya Hearthstone this entire game? I haven't. It's because she doesn't really need to. If you're constantly using your Battle Rage to keep your health up, and you're constantly using your Whirlwind to keep your health up, you never need to recall. You never need to use your Hearthstone. So, if you're playing Sonya and you feel like you're using your Hearthstone a lot, you might need to adjust your playstyle. And you can see Diablo and their team is recommending they go here. And the reason that they're calling this out is because they want to take this fountain out. If they can destroy this fountain, that means that during this objective, which is showing right here that this is the next objective available, they will have a fountain, but they won't. So if they can get this fountain, they don't even care about this kill. I mean, the kill is going to be nice, but they don't need this kill. They need this fountain, which will mean that they will likely win this objective. Because the other fountain that they can get is all the way up here, and it's going to be a really far away fountain for them to get. So they want to take this fountain out very quickly. And again, Sonya's doing what... Sonya's staying away from her team, but doing what is necessary for their team, as one extra body here isn't going to guarantee that they're going to get this fountain. But if Sonya gets level 10 for them, then it's going to make it a lot easier for them to get this fountain. And Sonya already cleared the wave, so Sonya can go and help out now that she's gotten him level 10. And of course, Wrath of the Berserker was picked up because they need that sustained damage. Wrath is popped this time before the spear is thrown. And what that means is this spear is not going to be doing 256 damage plus the double that because of the Ancient Spear. It's actually going to be doing 40% more than that, which is going to be an extra 100 damage. So it's going to be 350 damage times 2. So the spear alone is going to be 700 damage. Watch how much damage it does. One spear, one W, Blaze is dead. It's a lot of damage. Now, to keep the Wrath of Berserker going, because you always want to keep Wrath of Berserker going as long as possible, because then it means that the next time that you'll have it is going to be closer to when you'll actually need it again, because you'll have it for the most of the time while it's on. She'll probably have it drop before she can hit anything else, but the way to keep it going longer is by gaining Fury, and the fastest ways to gain Fury is by auto-attacking, by using your Q, and by you just having your Whirlwind on. It doesn't say that it adds Fury, but it does keep the Wrath of the Berserker going just a little bit longer. But overall, the best thing that you should be doing is your Q and auto-attacks. There's a talent that used to be really popular around level 7, which was Shot of Fury, and you could activate it to gain 50 Fury. But it's not that popular anymore, just because the Poison Spear does so much damage and it's so much burst potential. So he sees that his team was already losing this fight, so he decides to just go for camps, make sure that every lane's pushing. And in this scenario, you could be getting this camp if you want to. He decides to simply double soak, just because, actually he doesn't double soak, and the reason why is because if he was to go up top, he would show the enemies where he was, and they could just 4-man and gank him. So he decides to just play it safe, sit on the objective, and stay near the tanks. As long as he can see where the damage is, he can stay in here. So Hanzo and Junkrat are both over here, so as long as he stays over here, he can avoid most of their damage. You can see the sustained damage that he can do to tanks and the amount of healing that he can have. Himself combined with Malfurion allows him to actually be a tank. Now, a lot of people think when you're picking Sonya, you should pick Sonya as a tank. And honestly, while that's okay, she's not a great solo tank. And honestly, I would never recommend making her a solo tank. I would consider her more of an assassin that happens to be tanky rather than a tank that happens to do damage. You can see she does a lot of damage. Now, on the objective, she can stay to clear the objective because she does have a lot of auto attack damage. However, she's going to be stuck in the solo lane just because that's what the team needs right now. And honestly, Phoenix and Gul'dan are going to be better at clearing the objective than she will be. Because the enemies are starting to split up at the end of the objective, she's coming down to see if she can get a kill, but realizes that they're leaving, so she might just go for a camp. The camp isn't really necessary, and I think this is also another problem that you have with Sonya's is you can do camps very quickly, so it makes you feel like you should be doing camps every time that they're up. But I feel like the LFM keep calling him away from doing camps. You can do them fast, but sometimes you need a camp at the right time. So we just had an objective here. We haven't had an objective top yet, and we just had an objective in the bottom lane as well. So while I personally think that it would have been the best call to get that camp, their team told them not to for whatever reason. I don't like doing the camp in the lane that has the objective because they're already there to clear it. You can see the amount of burst, again, that combo was. What he did this time was the auto attack, W, Q, W, and then did his E. And he did Wrath of Berserker before all of that, which was enough to one-shot a Junkrat. It's an incredible amount of damage. And against certain solo laners, people don't realize how much damage it is. Like, a lot of times against a Malthael, if you can get it to where you've already killed a couple of the minions and he doesn't have that much healing, you could quickly do a large amount of burst to him and then scare him off. And then the next time he tries to come back, you have your abilities back up. Now, the next objective shows that it's going to be right here because of this purple indicator, which means that they want to get this fountain very, very quickly. And that's all that they need to get right here. Because again, same rules apply. If they get the fountain, that means that their team has a fountain and the enemy team does not. So Sonya's focusing on the tower that's actually doing damage, and then past that, a wall so they can get in there. And Sonya goes immediately towards the fountain. Got the, I don't know if that the damage over time works. Yeah, damage over time works on the fountain. Got the damage over time, and then left. Now, Sonya's going to try to make sure that they don't lose Soak here because they're going to try to get level 16 first. So again, their team can focus on doing the things that they need to do as a group so they don't get ganked, while Sonya can focus on doing the things that need to be done, but don't necessarily need the entire team to do them. And that's really what you should be doing with a solo laner. You could see that the challenge that they had with Blaze was they picked Blaze as a solo laner, but Blaze was also their bunker, and Blaze was also one of their stuns. So they don't want Blaze to do the same things that Sonya can do, because Sonya's going to be doing them better, and they need Blaze to be in the team. So they keep alternating between Junkrat and Blaze on who they're going to need, and it's creating kind of a rift in their team, because they don't have this comp that they can have following them around wherever they go, having this perfect ability of initiate, root, burst damage, while Sonya can just focus on doing whatever she wants. And she's such a bully that people have to be afraid of her. She'll beat a Blaze if they're left in the lane too long, and if she can catch a Junkrat while they're rotating, she can just drop a Junkrat instantly. So she's just such a powerful hero to have in so many scenarios. And again, just clearing waves. That's all you have to do. And I think that's a very underrated thing about Sonya as well, is people keep thinking that Sonya should always be just fighting the entire time, but in reality, she can be used like a specialist and still be extremely powerful. Right here, she does the objective while their team decides, hey, let's just push, you know? Let's get as much value here so that when we do get this objective, we're going to have a really strong chance of getting a keep. And the enemies made a questionable call, all right? So they decided, hey, we don't have a fountain. They're level 16, which means we're going to lose this objective guaranteed. There is no chance we're going to win this objective. So they say, how can we get value here? Well, Hanzo could take mid fort and we could take bottom fort. And then we still have the possibility of taking a keep later on in the game. But there's no chance. My only reason why I argue against this is while this will get them level 16, my worry is that they're opening this up to having a keep being taken, because these four in LFM are going to destroy this fort, and they're also going to destroy the front walls before the objective even spawns. So when the objective spawns, the objective can just be destroying the keep, or just distracting the enemies while their team destroys the keep. This is a very risky play from Team 12, but that's sometimes what you have to do when you're in these high-ranked games. You need to take some risks, especially when you're behind. If you're behind, you can get snowballed on very fast. So if you don't take risks, you may never actually get any value. Sometimes I laugh when people are like, it's like 11... Your team is like level 11 versus a team that's like level 15, and your team's like, let's soak. I'm like, you're never going to catch up by soaking when you've got that much of a deficit. But getting 1 or 2 kills could actually gain a huge chunk of experience. So it's kind of a debate back and forth, because half the team wants to soak and half the team's like, hey, if we can all hide in a bush, we can get 2 to 3 easy kills, and boom, we get that comeback experience. And comeback experience is essentially, if you have a large deficit of experience and you kill one person on the enemy team, you could gain like 2 levels from it. So both people have different ideas, and it creates kind of a challenge in your team. But yeah, I'm gonna finish this video off by showing the last few things that happen. Again, Sonya's just doing the objective, letting their team do work. Again, Sonya, just because she's great at team fights doesn't mean you ever need to be in a team fight. You can be a specialist when you need to be a specialist, and you can be a team fighter when you need to be a team fighter. Get what your team needs the most at the time. Right now, they need the objective. But as they're entering this thing right here, here's the thing. She could be going down here, like a regular specialist like Zool or something might go down here and just get extra experience. But no, they need a keep, and Sonya's going to be their person to get a keep. She's going to be their man, right? She's going to be where is it? Their man. Yeah, Sonya. Okay. So in this scenario, what's going to happen is Sonya's going to probably pop her Wrath of Berserker and just dish out as much damage to this keep as possible. They're already distracted by the objective. Their team is going to be focusing on getting kills and following around the objective, keeping it alive, while she could focus on getting the keep. She doesn't want to take free tower shots, though, so she's going to back up so the tower shots go into the Punisher, and then she's going to go back in and get as much damage as possible. Separating from her team a little bit. She needs to be careful about attacking Joanna, because Joanna has blinds and Joanna also has armor. So she focuses in on Blaze instead and takes Blaze out very quickly by doing sustained damage. Remember, Wrath of Berserker is going this entire time, so she's getting 40% more damage on everything that she's doing almost 300 damage per auto attack, almost 500 damage for seismic slams, as well as her Q is doing nearly, I want to say, 900 damage every time she lands it. It's incredible. And she got the talents that makes it to where her basic attacks reduce the cooldown of her spear. So about every 6 seconds, she's doing about an extra 900 damage with her spear. It's incredible. As well as her spear always pulls, and it gets a reduced cooldown. She can help speed up camps a little bit with her team, but ultimately she usually does camps by herself. And late game, you don't really want to do things by yourself that much, just because deaths are such a long time. Deaths end up being 45 to 60 seconds. So at this point in the game, when you're playing Sonya, you don't want to be alone anymore. You've been alone this entire game. You want to utilize the other benefits of Sonya, right? So you want to be with your team. You could see she could be pushing top and trying to get more effect up there, but she's got catapults up there. She could be pushing mid, but they've already got 6 goatmen pushing. Yes, they're called goatmen. So she needs to be with her team, and she needs to decide who she wants to go in on, because we've seen this combo before. It is ridiculous. So I personally would be looking to take out Alex Straza, or I'd be looking to take out Junkrat again. I think she's deciding if she wants to try to go for a camp. I don't know the timers on the camp. 1 minute, 50 seconds. And, oh, she might be trying to sneak a kill mid. I honestly don't know what she's doing right now. Maybe they're... And again, when you're working with pro teams, they might be making calls that I'm not even thinking about because they're trying to make risks. So we have ults going off. She has sustained damage against Blaze, but it might be best to change her target and get some damage off on someone else, but we'll see what she decides. She uses her Wrath, she uses her full combo. Actually, she doesn't. And she gets damage off on to Alexstrasza, giving them the kill on Alexstrasza. And then she focuses in on keeping her Wrath of Berserker up safely. Or she should be doing that anyways. But that's not working, so I think they're just trying to stall until the enemies split up. Yeah, that's pretty much it. And again, getting that Q damage off first, giving her enough energy or rage or fury so that she can get her seismic slams going. And as well as it's doing a lot of damage as it deals damage to structures, as I found out today. And again, watching Pro play, you learn a lot of stuff. I play a lot of Sonya, and I've never really used Spear on structures, never even thought about it. So it is something interesting. So what she decides to go with is Ignore Pain. Why does she decide to go with Ignore Pain instead of Composite Spear? And the reason that I feel she goes with Ignore Pain is because as long as she can survive the initial burst of the stun, the Riptire, the falling sword, as well as maybe a Dragon Arrow combo, if she can survive that initial burst of all of these high damage ultimate abilities or high damage bursty abilities, then she can have sustained damage for the rest of the fight and never have to worry. So this combo allows her to stay alive much longer. The armor would be more if they had slower damage. For example, instead of a Hanzo and a Junkrat, let's say they had a, I don't know, a Lunara that she needed just that extra survivability for really long fights. They don't have that, so she doesn't need that constant armor. She needs that burst armor that she can survive the burst. And we're going to see probably an interesting use of it coming up around either this keep or maybe around the core. The enemies did something really strong here, which was during this objective, they got this camp. They knew they were going to lose the objective, but they could at least stop the catapults from constantly pushing in. So the enemies did do something really good here. Again, a lot of people would make the mistake of going immediately onto this Joanna, but the issue is that you're not going to be able to get a kill on Joanna. So going in on her is only going to waste your combo, and it's going to probably get you killed because she can follow up with a stun, then you can get an arrow, another stun, and you're pretty much over. So she decides, I'm going to focus on the keep. You can see how much damage she can do to this keep very, very quickly. She backs up while she's getting hit because she doesn't want to get the attack slowed while she's there. She decides right now, going to go for the core. This Punisher still is at about, I don't know, I'd say about 75, 78%, somewhere in between there. And so she wants to focus particularly on the core because this Punisher is going to be hitting the core the whole time. So as long as she can get it into a low amount of health, then she's in a really good spot. Don't forget, she also has healing from this and from this, so she can take some core shots. And also when the Punisher gets there, the Punisher is going to start taking core shots. So she's in a really good position as long as her team can stay alive back here with a Malfurion who's going Tranquility. They are not going to have too much trouble staying alive. As you can see, not too much trouble. They all stay alive, and she's just dishing out damage to this core. Right here, she's going to start taking a lot of damage. You've got a Junkrat here, a Hanzo here. Blaze is popping his damage, as well as she's going to take a lot. And the core, she's going to be taking damage from the core, so we'll probably see an Ignore Pain getting popped here. Right there, as Alexstrasza's ult goes off, as well as you've got two people on Sonya, you see the Ignore Pain being popped. And watch how little damage she takes when everyone is focused on her. Just almost nothing until the end of the game. So it's incredible. Now, why does Sonya only have a 50% win rate? I've already explained that she's one of the strongest solo laners in the game. I explained that she has so much utility and she has an incredible team fight. And the reason that I can explain is that she gets countered very easily by a lot of tanks and a lot of supports. So many supports, like Alexstrasza, have something that can reduce her damage. Alexstrasza can reduce damage by 50%, and then that cooldown can be reduced every time that she uses it on a silenced, stunned, or rooted enemy or ally, or uses a heal on anyone like that. She reduces the cooldown of her pacify, meaning that Sonya's damage can be almost permanently reduced by 50% against a good Alexstrasza. Maybe not permanently, but 50% in the times that are crucial. The next reason is that there's a lot of people who can counter her. For example, Blaze, there's a talent that he can get, which he didn't get. I would have probably recommended it in this scenario. So Blaze has a talent. I can't look at his talents right now because it's bugged. But he has a talent level 4. It might be level 7, but I'm pretty sure it's level 4 that could reduce her damage by 30%. Then there's people like Leoric who can reduce her damage by 50%. Then there's people like Arthas who can reduce her damage, her auto attack rate, as well as slow her down when she's actually near him to make sure that she dies. Then there's people like Brightwing who can polymorph her. There's so many counters to Sonya. So while she's amazing in the solo lane, and while she's so strong in team fights, she has a lot of counter picks. So the pros pick her into specific scenarios where they feel like she's going to get the most value. And if the enemies don't counter pick her, she can do a lot of damage and she can be extremely valuable. So if you're playing her in trying to move up in Hero League, I think she's a perfect character to move up in Hero League for a solo laner, because your team can still pick a regular tank. You're picking a solo laner that's going to give your team a strong off tank as well as a lot of damage, and you can be a major bully in lane. And if you're bullying the enemies enough in lane, then you also can be getting camps and essentially winning the game just by yourself. So the pros pick her for a variety of reasons, but you can also use her in Hero League to move up in ranks. So that is why Sonya is picked. If you'd like to add anything else, you can toss in the comments below. And as always, I like likes, comments, subscribes, everything like that. Thank you very much.